Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. This week, we have a talent agent that's known for representing the likes of Busta Rhymes, Jeremy Piven, Octavia Spencer, the late, great Michael K. Williams. But that's not all that she's about. She's also a clothing designer slash entrepreneur, bringing us her brand Sante Grace.
Grace.
For Sante Grace, a luxury brand for plus size. We have Tracy Christian. Welcome to the show, Tracy.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh, okay, pleasure. We are ringing in a new year together. Um, Happy 2025.
Happy 2025 to you. Let's see what
Okay.
this year brings us with our new president.
Oh, wow. Now you got me thinking about that again. Man, I tried to block that out for a little bit.
Inauguration's coming up soon. Can't forget that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, so Tracy, like I said in the intro, you have accomplished many things, and now you're venturing into the space of entrepreneurship. Just take us on a fantastic voyage into the life and times of a Tracy Christian.
Oh, that's funny. So I'm originally from the projects of Newark, New Jersey, and
Brick City.
Brick City. Okay, so if you know, you know. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but then I grew up in San Francisco and ended up going to school in LA and staying. I got into entertainment because a director named John Singleton, I was friends with John Singleton and a writer named Joseph Doherty. And I had little jobs, all over town as you do when you're a young person. And I said, I'm tired of working at this clothing store and then this place and that place. What do you guys think I would be good at? And John said, you should either be a madam or an agent. And I didn't want to go to jail, so I became an agent. Um, so, and I have a great history as an agent. I still am an agent. I own my own agency. I think in the business right now, maybe I, I'm sure, less than five black owned agencies, um,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the country. Uh, and I've been blessed to represent amazing talent, like you rolled off your tongue earlier. But one thing I did notice, I've always been a bigger girl, a Zoftic kind of girl. And
Mm-hmm.
I would be at the Cannes Film Festival, in my room, like sewing a dress or trying to, we get invited to Martin Scorsese's yacht party, and I got to figure out what I'm going to wear because
Mm-hmm.
there's no clothes. Like when I say that there's no clothes, no higher end clothes for plus size women, like literally it does not exist. When I would go
Right.
skiing, I'd have to rent or buy men's clothing. And, it's not like I'm, 6'5", 500 pounds or something. Just someone in the universe forgot to make clothing for us or decided that, like, if you're a size 20, you must be sitting on your couch all day eating bonbons. You don't need anything but leggings. But long story short, yeah, I would be making these clothes. And when the pandemic hit, I think like a lot of us, I was at home and I feel like I got a message from God that just said, start your clothing line. And I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and, you know, bought the name. That's how we started.
Uh-huh. Cool. So do you remember designing your first garment? Like, did you do it as a kid, or was it just something that you picked up on during the pandemic, like you said?
No, I remember, making clothes out of socks for my Barbies, doing that stuff. And then making, clothes for myself, things that your parents say, I'm not buying that for you, or that's too expensive. And, you get in the lab and you figure out how to make it. Or I would go like in San Francisco and go to the Salvation Army and vintage stores, and you would buy something and then upscale it. And the line is called Sante Grace because of my grandmother. Her name was Grace. And she was the first
Mm-hmm.
person, she was an excellent seamstress. And she taught me how to sew. And sewing, and particularly sewing for plus size women, occupies like almost a spiritual space in her life, what it did for her.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Um, it is often said that if you look good, then you feel good. Um, so obviously, like creating Sante Grace was a way to, I think, not only fill that need or that void that you probably had, but also those of others. Like, how does that make you feel that you're bringing this luxury fashion line and filling a void, and a lot of times uplifting those individuals because I'm sure, like I said, if you look good, you feel good. Self esteem, you know, just is risen as a result of it. So just tell us about that.
That's what the line is all about, really, right? Because look, you're not going anywhere that you care about without getting a line up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I even throw away about like looking good, looking the way you want to. There's a reason that, when people are enslaved, one of the things that happens is like cover your hair, dress like this, right? Because you want to beat down the person. You want to tank down their power, their esteem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even about like fronting and, I look better than you do, or you see that I have money or whatever. It's really about bringing out your best inner self, truly giving options to these plus women and being able to look the way you want to look. Now you're a little younger than me, so I'm going to throw some names out to you. I don't know if they're going to be
Okay.
familiar to you, but do you know who Takara is? Plus size
That's
model.
interesting. I had a question as far as Takara and Ashley Graham and Lizzo. But yeah, go ahead.
So Takara was one of my clients very early on in my
Mm-hmm.
career, and became a friend. There's no red-blooded American man that would look at Takara and be like, "Too fat, lose weight, the clothes don't look good on you," nothing, right? But Takara is plus size. Why wouldn't you make clothes for Takara? Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever Takara is going to put on is going to make you look good as a designer, not
Yeah.
the other way around. And so the idea that like women that look like her, at least at that point, can't find clothes to wear is just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stupid. And there's a whole white space of body types that people weren't the people were ignoring. And these were women who were successful in life, you know, had confidence, really and truly had a need for what I was doing. I was surprised that no one was meeting it. And the other side of it truly was, a lot of women are socialized to think of themselves last. Um, when you think about a woman running a household, right? Like she'll make sure that her family is eating organic, you know, that her husband looks right, the household finances. She's worried about everybody else's life except for her own. And I always say to women, like the airplane seatbelt thing, you got to save yourself before you can save someone else. Like the best way you can instill self-esteem into your kids or, in your relationship is you show people how you want to be treated. and how you show up in the
Mm-hmm.
world is really how people are going to treat you. But we weren't allowed that because there were no 500, 600, $700 worsted wool suits for the size 18 girls. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what Sante Grace brings.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, I like the fact that you brought up Takara, and I also mentioned Ashley Graham and Lizzo. Do you feel like that was like just their empowerment and um, like risk it all type of an attitude towards like their fashion sense? Do you think that that kind of spearheaded a movement?
Definitely. It definitely was the icing on the cake of the body acceptance, you know, kind of movement. And poor Lizzo, right? Like there wasn't a roadmap for what to do. So here we have
Mm-hmm.
this young woman who's out there by herself. Like it's not enough to be talented, but you're supposed to look a certain way. And she, with like I said, with no roadmap, no coaching, really no mentors, she's trying to figure out, right? Like I'm on stage. There's a practical thing about clothes on stage too. Like if we look at Beyonce, body, 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 but Beyonce is
Mm-hmm.
always wearing like a bodysuit because she got to dance for 3 hours. And if you,
Right.
and if you're wearing certain clothes, it's uncomfortable. So when Lizzo tried the same thing, people acted like, she was committing a crime. It's like, look, I'm doing a show. I got to be on stage for an hour, 2 hours, and I'm not just standing there singing with the mic. I'm dancing, I'm jumping. There's a uniform that I need to be able to comfortably do this. But just again, politically and socially, people have really tried to keep bigger girls in the back. Now, look at Oprah, okay? Like her, love her, lump her, whatever. All of the things that she's done for this country, for women, for black women. And what's the thing that you hear over and over that people, attack Oprah about? It's her weight,
Her weight. Mm-hmm.
right? Like somebody whose family were damn near sharecroppers works, right? It wasn't handed to her by the lottery, by a divorce, nothing. Like works herself up from there to I'm worth over $1 billion. In an era where people don't read, I have a magazine that I'm on the cover of every single month. I own a network. I have a successful career as an actress. On and on and on. And all you can talk about is my weight. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to me why that's so important to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, just you bringing up the Oprah's I guess weight battle when it comes to the media and the constant criticism. It reminds me of my favorite R&B singer of all time. They just dropped his documentary on
The
CNN the
Luther.
other day, Luther Vandross, and just how his weight would fluctuate and um, how it played into his psyche, like never feeling wanted or appreciated and
Yeah.
yearning for that acceptance. And the fact is, like, it big Luther, small Luther, I don't care. I just love the hits. I love the music and the way it made me feel. Same with Oprah. Like just the work that she's done for the culture over the last 40 years. Yeah, we don't care whether she's 300 pounds or 180. Like we just need you to continue to make these advances for the betterment of our people.
Agreed. But like that's in our community.
Hmm.
Mass market at large feels a very different way. Like I didn't feel like I didn't know that starting a clothing line for fat girls was going to be revolutionary. But
Hmm.
it was like as soon as we put out the line, man, if I could show you the emails and comments that we got from men and women. It was just crazy. I was like, if you don't like the clothes, don't look. Like, you don't have to go to the website. But people were really angry. I was making expensive clothes for fat girls.
Mm-hmm. What were they saying?
You don't literally, you don't deserve, if you're a size, whatever, you don't deserve to have clothes, lose weight, bitch. Um,
Wow.
and I would say, okay, let's say I'm on a radical diet. What do I wear today? Like, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
lose 60 pounds in 24 hours. What do I wear on the way, on the way there? I still got to show up for work, for dates, church, for life. Uh, but they were very angry. And then other people were concerned, like, big women make less than smaller women. How dare you make clothes this expensive? And I say what we are is upscale or, accessible luxury. Because we'll have a
Mm-hmm.
pair of pants for $200 or, you know, things like that. Like I know streetwear designers that are selling T-shirts for the same amount. I sell my Japanese denim jackets. So in the realm
Right.
of what's available in the marketplace, we're far from expensive. But I think this country has really gotten used to fast fashion, so we're not selling $35 pants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're not using polyester. We're using sustainable silks and woolens and Japanese denim and, things like that. But yeah, people really just felt like bigger women did not deserve these clothes and that they weren't cheap enough. And then just making fun
Mm-hmm.
of, like, when you look at our ads, I know my girls look good. I know my girls look good. Like, you can't tell me that. And, getting comments like, oh, look, you know, three pigs in a dress, or it was just mean and nasty.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily,
Wow.
I grew up with parents and a grandmother and in a community where that having this kind of body isn't a sin. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people like my big butt.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We do as men.
Yeah,
We do.
I like it. They
Yeah.
like it. We're not worried about it.
Right. Uh-huh. So, Sante Grace, just tell me, tell us what you offer.
What's
I
the
know
future?
I saw like professional clothing, intimate, saw handbags, jewelry, a little bit of everything. So
All
just
of
tell
the
us.
above. Yeah, all of the above.
Okay.
I just really thought about, like, I start with lifestyle first. What are the clothes that I needed for my lifestyle, right? So I started off with stuff that you would wear to the office. But I work in entertainment, so it's not, we have suits, but it's not a lot of stiff suits. It's really like, because what would happen to me, um, one of my clients and my best friend, Mona Scott Young, Mona would be at the BET Awards or whatever and would say, like, Tracy, if you can get yourself to Vegas, got another ticket for you, or the MTV Awards or whatever. And so I wanted to have something that looked professional. I'm not a kid, but also something like
Mm-hmm.
with a little bit of flavor, with a little bit of style, a little young, whatever.
Yeah.
And and something that looked like I wasn't a kid, because I'm not. I'm a grown ass woman, and I like looking like a lady. I like it when the young ones say to me, Miss Tracy. I earned my gray hair. So
Right.
so it was that stuff. And like vacationing, my girlfriends and I, we have like a little group of 20 of us where nearly every year we go on a vacation together. So what am I wearing around the pool? What am I wearing when we go dancing? What am I wearing, to brunch? What am I wearing really to my life? Like I said, that's what it was all about. What am I wearing to church? And for every activity, I would come up with stuff to wear. What am I wearing when I go on a date? Um, and then just showing women who probably in their lifetime have never had the opportunity to buy cashmere or to experience some of these fabrics, and then really
Mm-hmm.
showing them how to wear this. So we pulled in some of the biggest stylists in the business, people like June Ambrose, who's known for styling Jay-Z. I mean, everybody in hip hop of
Right.
my generation, and
Our
and
generation. We're not
our
that far
okay,
off in
okay,
age as you
our
think.
generation, and style architect, or Provi Fulop, who's Emmy
Mm-hmm.
nominated, works in television, but to pull in all of these good sisters who have 20 years or more of experience and saying, okay, here are the clothes, you guys design a look. What could we do with this to
Uh,
really trick it out?
okay. Yeah. So you mentioned like focusing on luxury textiles like cashmere and silk. Like just talk about what it says about the brand's values.
Well, it's sustainable, right? So
Mm-hmm.
most clothing lines, a lot of clothing lines nowadays, they're made overseas. And one of the things that happens with American women is you go into a store, you buy something online, it says it's a 1X, it gets, you get it and it's this big. It's like it could fit a Barbie doll. So then,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I must be a 3X. So now you're buying a 3X. Really, what's happening is it's being made in a country that's not kind of abiding by fit laws. There's really no law that says a 1X is these dimensions. So they're doing it as cheaply as possible. They're making a 1X as small as possible. Um, and then so what we do in response is, well, women, we go buy Spanx to try to make ourselves smaller to fit into the clothes. And I'm like, the clothes should accommodate your body, not your body accommodating the clothes. You
Right.
trying to put yourself in a girdle and whatever to get smaller. You got it all wrong, sis. So I knew that I didn't want to make outside the country. I wanted to make generous, honest size clothes. And for quality control's sake, I wanted to be able to drop in on my factories whenever I wanted. So Los Angeles has a huge garment district that used to be really prolific, but with NAPTY and a bunch of other acts over the years, we've been shipping that business offshore to Mexico, to China, to India. So when I came to Los Angeles, I worked at a lot of boutiques. I worked at for companies that actually wove fabric. I worked for mills. So I just hit downtown and started meeting people till I could build relationships with factories that I could trust, that pattern makers who knew how to design for plus bodies, and then just kicked it off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I'm supposed to, yeah.
Go ahead.
But the other thing is
Go
like,
ahead.
look, any of us, when you start a business, it takes a lot of energy, right? It takes
Right.
a lot of energy to start the business and then energy to keep it going. So for me, I was like, if I have to expend all this energy, time, and money, why am I going to do it on the cheap? Like, the
Mm-hmm.
world doesn't need another set of leggings. The world doesn't need another, long tunic top. I want to be, I grew up in a generation like we wanted to put it on. We wanted to be fly, whether it was like because of hip hop, because really like all of these different cultures that came to play in our community, like dressing meant something,
Mm-hmm.
and when you and your dude went out, you weren't, I don't know, it was just different for me. We weren't throwing on sweats. If your man wore a sweatsuit when I was in junior high, your little boyfriend wore a sweatsuit, he's putting on his Fila, he was matching the sneakers. The sneakers was clean. They looked like they just, you guys look like you were popping tags. And
Oh yeah.
that kind of attitude is really what I wanted to bring into fashion. That kind of black feeling of like, you know, I would just be going someplace with my girlfriends and walk in the kitchen, and my mother would be like, okay, that's what I wanted to bring big girls. Like you walk in the room and maybe you can't wear YSL because it's not made in your size, but all the other, I'm trying not to be too street, I'll get a little ghetto, but all the other,
No,
bitches in the
be
conference
be
room,
you.
oh, all the other hoes in the conference room were like, okay, right, but, she coming with it. I want to smell good, look good, be good. Um, and like, I want to be an A student in everything I do. So when I started designing the line, I would be at what's called jobbers.
Hmm.
They're kind of middle, fabric middlemen, and stuff will be falling off trucks in downtown LA. I'd come down there like, I need 250 yards of, cashmere. I need, 500 yards of Italian silk charmeuse. 18 mummy, these colors. And the guys down there, because people weren't doing it like that, they really respected my gangsta. And like it
Hmm.
was the pandemic, there wasn't a lot going on. And they started calling me like, Tracy, I got you. And literally, I would be pulling my truck up to a fabric store with them unloading, like 1,000 yards of worsted wool. It was funny.
Uh huh. Yeah. So just talk about the role of customer feedback as far as do they throw ideas your way as far as Tracy, I would love something like this. And then it inspires you to create a line around it. Like just talk about that feedback loop.
I don't get a lot of that. What I
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of, and it's really touching, is women hitting us and they're like, I need, I need a dress for this wedding, or my high school reunion, or whatever it is, where they're really trying to, there's gradations. Like, I think, especially for big women who haven't had the opportunity to wear clothes like this, first, they're just trying to be comfortable, they're just trying to look good.
Mm-hmm.
And when they see the website, they can't really believe, they're like, are these clothes going to look like, the way on me, the way it looks on the model? I don't know. So then they buy something, they love it, and then they come back. And then it's, show me how to floss. Really just, show me how to look like the girl in the magazine. And that's when we can really take off and do some fun things. So, and
Mm-hmm.
we only produce small batch. So usually I'm never really producing more than 100 of a single item. Like we have, one of my favorite things is we have this Japanese denim jacket, and I talk about like the influence of streetwear on culture. And again, it's crazy that that's not available to plus sizes, right? Everybody that you see wearing Fear of God or Kith or whatever, this big, man,
Mm-hmm.
male or female. And so I wanted to bring that experience to my girls and just showing them, educating them about the difference in the textiles, like what's the difference between Japanese denim and just regular schmegular denim, and then showing them how to put it on. And, they love it.
Mm-hmm.
They love it.
Do you feel like some of the I guess the more mainstream brands are they pivoting somewhat and becoming more inclusive as far as their collections, or is it still the same?
Nah, they're pivoting away. So what happened, there was like you mentioned Lizzo, there was a moment where it was about body acceptance, right? Like whoever you
Mm-hmm.
are, whatever you look like, it's all good. Be yourself, be a good citizen of the world. And most of that was lip service. And now I think with changing administrations, changing culture, people are really pivoting away, you know? Like, and you'll see it in, um, LGBTQ rights. You're just going to see it in a bunch of different demographics and culture, how we were doing this, right? We were like, we have room for everybody. And now it's constricting again.
Dr. Todd McLean provides periodontal and dental implant services in 2 convenient locations. They offer over a decade of experience treating patients, and appointments can even be scheduled in the evenings, weekends, or early mornings. Give them a call in Chapel Hill at 919-537-9774 or in Durham at 919-484-8338, or visit them online at gumsandimplants.org.
Yeah. What trends in global fashion inspire your work?
I am obsessed with the 70s. I am obsessed with the 70s. Um, Again, I grew up in, like, I'm Jersey, Jersey. I don't have a Jersey
Mm-hmm.
accent, but I'm Jersey to the bone. So, pimp culture, gang culture, Studio 54, Halston. I love it all. Like, my mom had me when she's 19 years old. And I remember my mom and her girlfriend getting dressed to, go to the city and try to get into Studio 54. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
wigs, the perfume, the wrap dresses, all of that. And that really informs my collections. I love playing with silhouette. I love sexy but not slutty. My favorite designer, I love, Yves Saint Laurent, and how that's where I think I get my love of silk too. Um, so I pull a lot from that time period. And also, like, I'm really about not hiding. You know, again, when I grew up, kind of fashion rules, they say, like, wear black, it'll make you look slimmer, or be monochromatic, wear one color, it'll make you look longer and slimmer, which is totally true. It's totally true. But every once in a while, bitch, you got to show up. Like, don't
Mm-hmm.
hide in the corner. When you wear all black, I tell people all the time, you just look like a size 24 wearing all black. You don't look smaller. Like, if that's what you want to do, if you want to wear all black, great. But don't wear it because you're trying to hide part of yourself. So we play with color a lot and with shimmer. We have a jumpsuit called Share, and it's made out of lame, which, they never use that fabric for plus size. And I say, like, this is, if Studio 54 were still around, this is what I would be wearing, bitch. This would allow you to dance all night without worrying about sweating your, self out, sweating your hair out. Everything we do has pockets. It's really practical, and it's also really about putting fun back into fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, for me, every once in a while, like, I put on a certain outfit and I see myself in the mirror and I can't help but dance. And I'm like, okay, this is cute. I know I look good. Okay, this is great. But that's the emotion I want every woman to have. For every outfit in your closet, I want you, and you talked earlier about confidence. I want the clothes to help you feel confident and to bring out that part of your personality that maybe you've always been afraid to show. That's what dressing is about. Like, it's a declaration of who you are, what you believe, and nobody ever made clothes for us that allowed us to express that until Sante Grace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I was on your website and in the about you section, and you were attending a red carpet event, and the outfit that you had on. I think you had to put together last minute, and you hated it.
Yes, hated it. So
Um,
you hated it, hated it, hated
yeah.
it.
So yes, harkening back to In Living Color days, right?
Hated it. Yeah, look, there's a phenomenon that every woman has experienced, plus size or not. And I say, like, we're here to end the crying in the fitting room. Everybody has
Hmm.
walked in a fitting room, tried something on, and you look so bad that, like a tear comes out of your eye. Or you have something that you have, like you said, this red carpet event. I think that was actually our launch party. But
Hmm.
you wear something because you can get in it, not because you like it. And that's a horrible way to be. We only have so many days on earth. Every day you should be flawless. Love what you wear. Love the
Right.
way you look.
Hmm. And especially like we were saying earlier in the interview, your background as a talent agent and some of the clients that you worked with in their fashion sense, or their fearless fashion sense, like a Busta Rhymes, the way he would dress with the big hats and the
They're
bright
crazy.
colors. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you kind of had to blend in with him, I feel.
Well, with Busta, like, unless you were going to wear some dress like a cartoon character, nobody was going to be looking at you. Everybody was going to be looking at Busta. And Busta is like
Uh huh.
6'3", yoked up, Jamaican, crazy. But I do remember one New Year's Eve, Busta did the MTV New Year's Eve thing, and I had this silk velvet tuxedo that I had made that was like a bright blue, and very similar to what like the Tom Ford tuxedo. But yeah, I don't even know what we were talking about. But yeah, the artists that I represent and that I work around, are fearless. Like being an artist is about overcoming your fear because you're gonna, whatever your discipline is, whether it's rap, singing, acting, fine art, whatever, you put it out there to the world and you have no idea how the world is going to receive it, right?
Hmm.
So you have to be brave. So it doesn't surprise me that their clothes also are brave, you know, and sometimes a little unhinged. But in my own discipline, I try to echo that
I
too.
was just
Like,
about to ask that. I was just about to
yeah,
ask you that. Yeah. As far as how it,
absolutely.
yeah, how that fearlessness transfers over to you, and how Sante Grace is emblematic of that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't you can't represent somebody who's always putting themselves on the line, and you're afraid to wear red. Like, what?
Hmm.
Right? Like, that's crazy. You got to push. And part of my job too is with artists, not just getting them the deals and negotiating it, encouraging them to really be artists, pushing them to find the edges of what they're able to do. And again, to really do that and be honest about it, you should be doing it in your own life too, right? Like, I can't tell you to go out and record and say this and say that, and I'm playing it safe. You
Hmm.
know, I have to reflect my values, at
Hmm.
least what I say my values are.
Do you feel like that's the biggest lesson that you've learned from your entertainment career that you've passed down to your entrepreneurial pursuits?
That's a good question. I mean, I never thought about it like that. In representation, gosh, in representation, like, I'm so crazy passionate about it, and actually so good at it, if I do say so myself. Um, for me, it's always been about creating a space for that artist so that they don't have to hide. Like, I want you to operate at your highest potential. I want to constantly challenge you about the level of work you're able to do, you're able to
Mm-hmm.
perform. Um, yeah, so maybe they do tie in a bit. They do tie in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I just always felt like in our community, they always taught us operate in excellence in everything that you do, right? In everything that you do. If you're going to be a drug dealer, be the best drug dealer that there is. Don't be the guy on the corner selling nickel bags and, you go to jail for 25 years for selling nickel bags, right?
Right.
Go out there and be Frank Lucas, which is, I guess, like it's very negative of me to say, but really operate. If you're going to be a basketball player, be the best basketball player, be the best artist. Not like
Mm-hmm.
be the wealthiest, but what is the best that you can do? You know, we all are have fear, but walk beyond the fear, right? And so that's what I try to do. I'll say, Troy, I don't know. Have you had an opportunity to ever travel to Africa?
I did several months ago. My wife is Nigerian, so we went to Nigeria. We actually own a house there now. So
Amen. Okay.
every yeah, but yeah, I've been to Nigeria so far.
So I've never been to Nigeria, but I've been to Ghana, South Africa. And
Mm-hmm. Uh huh.
when you go the first time, you go to the slave castles, like the places that the slaves would leave from. So here I am,
Mm-hmm.
I'm American and I'm sitting there and I think about who I am, like who I descended from, right? Like if you were, we all know the program in the book Roots, and you think about,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so I know I'm this tribe, I'm from this area, and blah, blah, blah. So this person, got on a ship, and then a bunch of people didn't make it off the ship to the United States. And then we went through slavery, and a lot of my ancestors, they didn't make it through, that period. And then there's freedom and Jim Crow. And a lot of people didn't make it through that. But then, Jim Crow and your family moves and you're established all 400 or however many years to me. And I look at like
Mm-hmm.
what my genetics would be. I'm not just a survivor. My genetic code is not just made up of survivors, but like of strivers. How can how would I ever allow something as stupid as fear allow me to stop whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
I want to do, right? So, I mean, I'll tell you a little story. Like my mom's side of the family, they live in Washington. And when they moved there, I think they were sharecroppers in Arkansas. They moved, like, I heard they moved in the dead of night because that's what you had to do. So they
Right.
drove all the way to Washington, which is basically, you know, 5 more miles. They would have been in Canada. They would have went as north as you could possibly go without leaving the country, which tells me something probably went down that nobody is talking about, but whatever. So they moved to Washington, and then my grandfather was a merchant seaman, so he was always gone. But my grandmother still had to make money. She had kids. She had her mother with her. And she said in those days, um, the war was recently over. So they were really trying to give jobs to the men who were coming back from, service. But she said
Mm-hmm.
what she would do to get the best jobs were at the port. So you had to go down there 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun is even up. And you'd stand out there, and a guy would stand on a box and say, I need 4 painters today. I need 5 this. I need 5 that. And people would raise their hand that had experience or whatever. You try to get the job. And once you got the job, once you had enough hours doing the job, you could be made permanent and get in the union. Okay. If you know anything about Seattle, Washington, you know it rains 300 out of 365 days a year, something crazy. So my grandmother is like 95 pounds, 5 feet tall. She's standing at a dock, which I imagine is full of men trying to get jobs to feed their family. And then there's her, black, from the South, culture to shut up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
competing also for a job to feed her family. I'm sure she was pushed around, felt up. I know she was spat at and talked crazy to, because that part she told me. She told me how the guy standing on the thing would be like, "Get out, gal, you get out of here. These jobs are for men." Or, these men have families to support. You should be home taking care of your kids. But eventually, she got enough jobs, got enough hours, and was able to get in the union. That's who raised me. That's where I come from. When I think about that, and I have fear like everybody else, but when I think about those were some of the women who raised me, how could I ever allow fear to stop me from doing anything that I need or want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because of their efforts, things are crucial in my life, but not like that.
Right.
Right? Like mostly, I got to figure out how to turn a profit. I got to figure out how to grow someone's career. I'll take that every day. I don't have to stand
Mm-hmm.
on a dock. She did that for me. So again, I go back to the excellence. When I think about where I come from and all they ever asked me to do was to, give my best and operate in excellence, I'll do that every day.
Right. What do you see when you look in the mirror?
Joy.
Okay.
I see joy.
Yeah. Do you learn more from your wins or your losses?
I mean, come on. We all know we learn more from our losses. If you run the game tapes, right? If you're one who's willing to run the game tapes and really be honest, you absolutely learn more from your losses.
Mm-hmm.
But you try to keep that. But think about the kind of losses that you're going to have, right? I keep trying to ratchet the elevator up. So at one time, my loss was in college. Me and my roommate didn't pay our rent, so we got kicked out. That was the loss. And I was like, I never
Mm-hmm.
want to be put out of an apartment again. And then eventually the loss was, okay, if I don't come up with some money, I'm going to lose my house and come up with the money. The next is, if I don't fix this thing in this building, I'm going to lose this building that I own. Still a loss, but it's a long way from being kicked out of your apartment. So just level up in the kind of losses that you have. That's what life, that's truly what being successful is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you find most rewarding in your journey?
I have made a career of actuating other people's dreams, and I find that so rewarding. And Sante Grace is my dream. Now I'm trying to do it for myself. But really what's rewarding to me is when you sit down with an artist and you say like, okay, so what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And they tell you, but really they're hedging their bet because
Mm-hmm.
there's something that they want to do or that they want to be that they don't talk about because it seems too big, too grand. It could never happen. If I say this, I'll sound crazy, right? So I try to build a relationship with them where they can trust me with their dream, that impossible dream. And then that's what we work on. We reverse engineer making that happen. And that feels so good. That's my life's purpose. I love it. And usually even that thing that where they feel like they're dreaming big, it's not big enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
Michael and I work together, obviously, blah blah blah. We're very, very close, but for lots of different reasons, Michael, even in his big dreams, he'd been beaten down so much.
Mm-hmm.
He I had to give him the power or help him develop the power to dream bigger. Like,
Right.
you can do this, right? You can be in these spaces. Things like, well, I know I'm dark and I've got this scar, so I'm never going to get to play these kind of roles opposite these kind of
Mm-hmm.
people. And I would be like, no, my nigga, here you go. We're doing it. We are doing it. And giving people the self-confidence, again, like, these are the arenas that you belong in. That feels amazing to inject that
Yeah.
power into another person.
I mean, I definitely wanted to get into the late great Michael K. Williams, and you sort of went in a direction I was going to head in, and I was wondering if did we see all of the talent that that man possessed?
No, not even, we didn't begin to touch. The other thing about talent is, if you live an honest life and you face your fears, God grows you, right? Like, when you say, when you go to the Lord and you're like, I want to be talented enough or strong enough, I want to work with these people, this people, this people, right? You got to go in the gym. What happens is you start lifting heavy weights. The weights don't get lighter, you get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And he died before we could put the heavy weights on. Like, all the stuff that he did was stuff that he knew. I won't say all of it, that's not fair. A lot of it was the stuff that we all knew that he could do. He knew that he could do. But Michael had an emotional depth that was and is extraordinary. And we lost him before he could really tap into that. You know, um, Michael, I mean, Jamie Hector, thank God, is still here with us. Jamie Hector is the
Mm-hmm.
same kind of person. I represented Jamie for years, and I can't wait for him to get the roles that he really gets to show off what he can do.
As an agent, how difficult is it when um, talent such as a Jamie or Michael K, they basically get their wings from a enormously successful show and role, and then for them to like not be pigeonholed like Steve Urkel, Jaleel White. Like, how do you get Michael K or Jamie out of being the villain in their roles and branching out?
Work, right? Like, it was easier with Jamie, like, for the last, whatever, almost 10 years, Jamie was playing a cop on Bosch. So, for those people who know Marlo was the furthest thing, psychopath, like,
Mm-hmm.
the furthest thing from a police officer. And the police officer that he was playing on Bosch was like a very middle class, educated, balanced father, husband, very different from the character that he played on the series. Um, but yeah, um, you got to kind of dig in the crates. You got to find scripts and directors who, as much as they love the characters that someone has played, but that they could see that they could do more. And it is difficult for black men, particularly difficult for them, and for black people. We represent Jason Mitchell, who a lot of people know for, playing Easy E. And then he did
Mm-hmm.
a movie that, got some Oscar buzz called Mudbound. Um, it's a challenge. The way our society is, it's very myopic for black men, especially black dark skinned men, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
look, Hollywood is myopic for everyone. If you are an attractive white woman, they want you to play, this person's girlfriend or wife or whatever. And then once you get a little older, that leading man might find you less attractive. So now you don't get to play that person anymore, right? Like now you got to play
Right.
something else. Hollywood functions by putting you in a box. We don't have time. We're always racing against time. Time is money. So if you're known to play the gangster, great. Play this gangster in this movie everybody recognizes. When you come on the screen, you about to kill somebody. Great. Right? That's what they do. Jason Statham, Jason Statham is not playing, you know, the romantic interest. When you see Jason Statham come on the screen, he's about to, bust some heads, right?
Right.
So for a person who sees themselves as an artist and wants to play a variety of roles, we have to work together, and lots of times they've got to be willing and able to walk away from money to find just the right role. Um, I don't know. Do you know who Brian Cox is? Brian,
Um,
he was the
the
lead in Succession.
songwriter.
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
So there was a show on 2 years ago, a year ago, called Succession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing show. And Brian Cox is this Scottish character actor. He's been around forever. Can't say enough about him. Okay, maybe 20 years ago. And he does Royal Theater. If I showed you Brian Cox's picture, you know who he is. Okay?
Yeah.
20 years ago, maybe more, Brian Cox did a film, small film, called LIE, where he played a child molester. And not like a secret, slipping behind, whatever. He was this charismatic former Marine, and boys used to hang around him because he was, kind of tough, teach you how to be a man, and he was
Mm-hmm.
molesting them, grooming them, and molesting them. And it was an extraordinary film with a brilliant performance. Brilliant performance. And for me, when I saw that, it gave me a lesson about how to break someone out of what people expect. But you got to have the artist that's willing to take the leap,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was, and nobody wanted him to do that film, but it was the relationship and the trust that he had in his manager, who's then his agent, that he did it. And I think that one role informed so much of his career. But you got to have an artist who's willing to do it.
Right. All right. So, in your race against time, what's on the vision board for Sante Grace?
Well, we're gonna blow up Sante Grace, blow up. Well, no, really, like I really don't want other women to have to go through what I did, like struggling. Life is hard enough. You shouldn't have to struggle about what you wear. So getting the word out there about Sante Grace, growing that business, and really growing that community. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just about, it's about putting on the clothes, but it's not just about putting on the clothes. So creating a safe haven for women with this brand, you know, um, that you'll never have to worry about what to wear again once you know who we are and how you can get to us. Um, so that is Sante Grace, and for TCA, which is the agency that I earn, I mean that I own, really
Mm-hmm.
continuing to develop the careers of the artists that we represent.
Right. All right. So, where can we find Sante Grace online, and if you have a few samples nearby and you want to show it off, feel free to do so.
Oh, I should have thought about that. Okay, so Sante Grace, you can find us online at santegrace.com, SanteGrace. And although this is my workshop, no, I mean, no, I would have to get up.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. SanteGrace.com. Make sure you check it out.
Check it out.
Tracy Christian. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. Oh, one thing, we are coming out with Sante Gold. We're doing jewelry.
Okay. Sante Gold. Be on the lookout for that as well. Like we discussed, you've contributed behind the scenes to a lot of, our favorite talents, and just the work you've done, I'm sure, has shined, and I'm glad that with this new endeavor, we're able to see you front and center. So,
well, thank you for inviting me. This has been, and allowing me to run my mouth. This has been great.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was fun. Like just hearing the backstory on Sante Grace, and then just your personal, your stories with your grandmother, and how now it's become full circle. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Alrighty. All right. So for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.